Welcome to the family office, planning for the people who matter most.
But I think taking the time to invest, because like for us, Chris, I think there's a certain level of discipline that we've cultivated over years. Sometimes being in a place where somebody's there to hold you accountable, if you have that, I think the gym serves a great value for that. But otherwise, take some time, invest in yourself. I think it's one of the best investments you can make. So I definitely think that it's okay to spend money here.
So you're for it?
Less, yes, because you'll spend less at the gym than you will at the hospital. You $500,000 heart surgery is going to be $1 million in 5-6 years with the cost of living and the value of money going down and healthcare costs going up. Yeah, putting some money in yourself, I think that's a good thing. Because
I can see that.
Yeah, it keeps you, because I think that, because to me, this is what I found. When I got disciplined with my food and my body, it impacted my discipline in every other aspect of my life. Like I bet you of all the episodes, like once we start to get traction, I bet you this will be one of the least watched videos, because most people, when they think about money and deferred gratification and discipline and putting things off, it's just not of interest to them. And if you're here and you're watching this and you've watched all 10 previous conversations that we've talked about and all 10 topics, that means that you really care about how you're spending your money. You really care about how to make your money grow and how to make your money work and how to put off something later on for something that's better for you then than making yourself feel good today. And I think you're also a person who's learning and to understand the value of not caring about what other people think about you. And so if you're still here in this episode, I want to applaud you, because you've taken the step to really do what's right, to manage your money and your income and your wealth, because you don't want to spend it trying to please other people. So for those of you that stayed here, salute. Congratulations. And Chris, man, do you have any other thoughts? Because there's so many things going on in the news right now that we could talk about, but I thought that it was a good idea just to lighten it up a little bit and have some conversations about this topic. So what else do you have?
Yeah, I think that it's just right now, I mean, you just had the Charlie Kirk services and things like that that are going on. I think it was like over 200,000 people or something was there. It was just absolutely crazy. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, because the inside was packed and there was a pavilion outside that was packed as well. So a lot of folks there.
Just nuts, just crazy stuff going on. And I just think that we're in a spot right now where I think that lightheartedness is good right now. I think everybody just needs to relax right now. And I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but
sure.
I mean, you there's just so much tension in the air that's going on right now that people really do just take it lightheartedly. I mean, you think about it, you're getting ready to come into October, November, December. This year is about to be wrapped up. Like, we're about to go into this holiday season. And I'm like, this is like crazy. Where's the joy in this? Where are we going with this joy stuff right now? But I do think it's kind of interesting what's going on in regards to just how crazily fast everything has switched sides. I'm sure you know now, Jimmy Kimmel's the next victim. So you got him, that his show just got canceled. Obviously you got Colbert that was before him. Mm-hmm. To me, I just think it's so crazy, Len, how fast the counterculture is now, where counterculture or cancel culture now is, and obviously it's as a result of what he said with in regards to Charlie Kirk assassination.
Wait, so you still agree with what you said last week? You still agree with what you said last week?
In regards to what?
In terms of feeling that he was justified in being let go. You still believe that? You still agree with that, given the information that's come out and all of the context around it? Because remember, when we talked about it last week, it was brand new. We had just found out about it. So we didn't have a lot of information to really make an informed opinion. So do you still agree with that?
Do I agree with this ouster?
Do you agree with the fact that he should have been canceled, that he should have been taken off of air? You still agree with that?
I'm 50-50 on it, man.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I'm 50-50 on it.
Oh.
And that's hard for me because I was all for it at first. I was like, okay, he should have been taken off. I think it was disgusting what he did.
with limited context. But if you go back and listen to what he said, it was, to me, because what we agreed on is that you should not make any comments about what happened to Charlie Kirk because of the timing. It was in bad taste.
Shouldn't.
However, having said that, he wasn't talking directly about Charlie Kirk. He was talking, his comments were more about his thoughts about the shooter and his belief that quote unquote MAGA world was trying to blame it on him when he was a, white male Mormon in Utah, which he was incorrect because he came out too fast, but both sides were coming out too fast. But just considering what's happened with more information, I thought for sure if we were going to talk about this, because I didn't know if we'd broach this topic or not, I thought for sure you'd say, you know what, after really evaluating it and looking at the bigger picture, you know what, I think I don't like what he said. It was objectionable, but the fact that that Brendan Carr from the FCC came out and made veiled threats, and then you have the ABC and what is it, Megastar, and they get
all
together.
of them. These weird things you've never heard of.
Yeah, Sinclair, National, Nexstar, and Tegna.
Nexstar, who the hell is this?
Nexstar and Tegna, if they get together, they're gonna be in about 80% of the households. And right now, the FCC limits are 39%. So to me, when I thought, okay, I was like, okay, my friend Chris, who is right-leaning, he's going to hear that Ted Cruz was against it. He's going to hear that Ben Shapiro was against it. He's going to hear that all of these conservative pundits were against it. And he's still, so I'm really, really surprised. But I think that's probably where your 50% comes in, right?
Look, I think he was, okay. I think that he was bullied out. I think he was forced out. I think somebody could call a shot that's in a bigger position of power.
You think?
Yes, I think. I mean, it's obvious, right? Everyone can see that. That's obvious, right? However, at the same time, there were people that were on the other side. Okay. When I say the other side, I hate to say it that way, but you know what I mean. There are people who are right-leaning that got canceled during COVID for misinformation. Sure. And I'm sorry, but he put some misinformation out there, Well, they're trying to prove that it was a MAGA guy, that it wasn't a MAGA guy, but it was. If it was the other way around during COVID, he could have been canceled for that. Okay? So I kind of almost want to say it goes in the same, here's what I'll do. All right. I think that his firing could be put in the same basket as the Letitia James lawsuit against Trump with the property value whole scam.
Totally disagree.
I think it's in the same camp. They're both BS reasons on overstepping boundaries, overstepping power.
It's not the same.
FCC chair bullied him out because they can. She did that lawsuit because she could.
Okay, but
she did the lawsuit because she could. FCC chair is doing this to Kimmel because he can.
That's the punchline, though. That's the punchline, though, Chris. Okay, here's the difference. Letitia James is an attorney. She's an attorney. The FCC is the United States government. Those are two very different things, and the context of the veiled threat was the backstory is that you've got Tegna and Nexstar that need the government's approval to have this merger, and so they're in a very tenuous position that if they don't agree with this merger, then what ends up happening is that the deal doesn't go through. And here's the thing. Back in September, I hope we can find this clip. back in September, I want to say it was like September 18th or something like that. President Trump was getting ready to get on a plane, and a reporter was asking him a question. I think it was probably about Colbert, because, you know, he kind of helped get him canceled. And he said something to the effect of 97% of the night talk show hosts are against me. And he says, you know, it seems like, you know, they come to us for licensing. It seems like if they wanted to get relicensed, that they'd be a little nicer. You know, you think that, you know, because they have to come to us. It was kind of this like, hey, you know, if you say all this crap about me, I kind of have the power to keep you on or not. And then for this to happen after that, it's a bad look, because here's the problem. And I think although I disagree with the way Ted Cruz put it, I agree with his sentiments. And what he said is that, look, the right is not always going to be in power. And so if you do something that creates a precedent, when the opposition gets in power, they can impose the same issues towards you. And in this case, the issue is free speech and the First Amendment. And if you take freedom of speech, this conversation that we're having, if I say something that's objectionable to the government, they can shut us down. If you say something that's objectionable because another type of government is in place or another type of leadership is in place, then we can still get shut down. So we get shut down on both sides, because we're always talking about opposite sides of the same conversation. This freedom to disagree and to have it in a public forum, and to have other people voice their opinions, regardless if we like them or not. That's the whole purpose. If there is no threat to take out somebody's life, if there's no hate speech, don't say you're going to kill us. Don't write us, a letter and say that, you can't stand who we are because of what we look like. That's different. But you can disagree with me. You can, say what you want. And I don't like insults or anything like that. I'd rather you keep it civil. But man, disagree all the time, because we need that. And so I think what's happening, we're on a very, very slippery slope. And here's a slippery slope from my perspective, Chris, is that when you have a president that has the bully pulpit and has power and has influence and creates a cabinet of yes men and yes women, then what ends up happening is nobody wants to tell you that you have no clothes on. Nobody wants to tell you that you're wrong. And I think anytime you have a government that shuts down the press and a government that shuts down oppositional talk, that creates a very, very slippery slope towards something that we don't want to see. And so I'm not going to say that, that we're there, but we are definitely teetering on the brink if it continues to go in this direction.
Well, I mean, I think what you're saying is that Jimmy Kimmel's the sacrificial lamb, and he had to fall on the sword for somebody's merger to happen.
Oh, but you know what happened? I think
or was it convenient?
It was not convenient, though, because you know what happened? Disney stock and their sales fell $4 billion. Their stock is like at $112 right now, bro.
It's nothing out of the normal.
No, bro.
They've been hemorrhaging for a while.
Oh man, but now here's the difference. The difference is
because
that
of Jimmy Kimmel
hell on both sides. No, it's okay. Look, so what's happening right now is you have the Screen Actors Guild that's protesting. So a lot of people that are even employed by Disney, they're protesting against what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. And then now that's on the left. On the right, you have people protesting against Disney because of who they put in their movies and who they have in their theme parks and all of those things. So they're catching it on both sides. And so this just created a whole cascade of negative energy toward Disney. So I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to bring him back. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just my suspicion.
I mean, well, I don't think they're going to bring him back, but I also would say
think
that
so?
I couldn't. I don't think so. I also don't think it's the silence of the media or of the journalists getting information to the public like you would paint it to be, simply because I don't think Jimmy Kimmel's a journalist, and I wouldn't look at him for news anyways. I wouldn't listen to the damn word he says.
I agree.
The damn word that guy says.
But to me, that's more of the reason why he shouldn't have been canceled, because he's not a journalist. My issue with regard to the government and journalism is that's why I said we're on a slippery slope. I don't think that he was fired for a lack of journalistic integrity. He's a comedian. But when you say something about the commander-in-chief that's objectionable from the perspective of the commander-in-chief, and then that person gets canceled, what happens later when now it becomes the norm to get people canceled in a very public way? Again, let's go back and let's take your argument. You talked about a lot of people getting canceled during COVID. What happened during that time is it was stuff going on covertly behind closed doors. And now you have people getting canceled in overt ways. They're not journalists. That hasn't happened yet. So it really speaks to this degradation of this separation that the government should have in the daily affairs of individuals' lives. And the next logical progressive step down the line of this slippery slope is that it could venture into journalism. And then when you get rid of, the First Amendment, then you talk about the Fourth Amendment, which is freedom of the press, if I'm not mistaken, right? Once you get rid of that, now, then the Second Amendment becomes an issue. And now, that's what I'm saying. It's just a slippery slope. I think we need to really, I think this right here is a bipartisan agreement that the government should stay out of the affairs of what comes out of people's mouths if it's not hurting somebody and if it's not hateful.
Yeah, I just think he was too fine on the line there, and I think that the executives that made the decision to pull the plug on him, they just were happy because they got a get out of jail free card to cut him loose because they wanted to cancel him anyways.
Okay.
I just think late night TV is dying. I don't think anybody watches late night TV. The demographics that would pull that are dying. Gen X, and maybe if they watch it, baby boomers. I know millennials don't watch late night TV.
I can't tell you the last time I watched late night TV.
And Gen Zs don't watch TV. That's why I was like, how did these companies, these broadcast companies, have power? Over the air broadcast companies have power. I can't even remember the last time I even watched TV because everything's on here or the computer or whatever. So to me, I'm just like, I think that's a dying sector, and I think the executives that made the decision to pull him, I think it was inevitable, and I think that they got to get out of jail free card, and Trump gave it to them because he said it because they knew what he was going to say before he said it because they produced it. It was the cue cards, you know what I'm saying? The production, the management. Mm-hmm. So the producers, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that show. So I think he's shocked. I don't think he thought it was going to happen, but I can't say still too that those guys don't act with a lot of hubris and a lot of this elitist about them, that they're untouchable and they could do and say whatever they want. You know,
you're talking about comedians. Well, okay, but
Kimmel,
it's still
all the late night guys.
It's still free speech. It's still free speech as long as it doesn't cross the line to hate. Again, I don't disagree with you from the standpoint that some of the things they say are objectionable. I don't disagree with that, but you still have the freedom to do that. I hated 80% of the things that Rush Limbaugh said. I did not agree with that guy one bit, many words, but he still has a right to speak his truth and just to say what he believes. He has a right to do that. I would never want to take that away from anybody. Now, if you start talking about the fact that a whole group of people need to be exterminated or a whole group of people is less than and all of that, that's different. But if you say that the left is this and that and this and that, like I even think even this whole conversation, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chris, after this comment. I think that the slippery slope is also happening with the rhetoric on both sides of the aisle saying that the other side is a threat to democracy. Like, I think you got to be very careful when you say that, because what happens is people in high places like that know their words are influential, and they also understand this whole idea of when you say something once, it has this dramatic effect. But over time, people become dulled and their senses become numb. And then things that were once egregious are just commonplace. And that's the real dangerous. That's the real insidious danger here on both sides.
Yeah, I could see that, and I agree with you on that. I just think that late night TV perverted itself and is cannibalizing itself. Late night TV used to be fun and used to be about interviewing talent and actresses and actors and celebrities and getting an inside idea of them and their lives and what's going on in their projects and pop culture. And it just turned into this pissing contest of these people that get on there and groan and talk about stuff that they don't like and politically soapbox themselves. So
I think it's a subset of what happened in the news too, because I think they're all doing it, and I think
they're all doing it.
This is where I agree with you 100%. I think that the news and late night is becoming more salacious in what they say, because it gets clicks and it gets a visceral emotional response, because they all know they're dying. And when you're dying, you get desperate and you do desperate things. And I think that our news on our regular TV, like you and I, as long as we don't violate YouTube rules and FCC violations by saying, bad words that could get, AI'd out, we can have a long form conversation, because we're not, it's a free flow of conversation. This medium that we're on right now is only going to get bigger. The medium they're on is only going to get smaller. So when you're out in the middle of an ocean, you might try to jump on somebody who can't swim just because they might give you a few more moments to have an opportunity not to die. And so we do desperate things. And I think that's where traditional media is going right now.
Yeah, and I think everything in the world is going DeFi. I think everything's going decentralized. Yeah. Especially in transactions. Web-based DeFi is so important. I can't wait to get off of all these centralized access points and centralized apps and ecosystems, and make it more open source and more open again and more free. And I think that's what's happening with the advent. Internet is forcing all of this legacy media to really adapt, because you're not plugged into this channel or this cable network anymore to get everything. You got to go here, you got to wait, like pay-per-view and all that stuff. Like, for example, my son was watching the Canelo boxing fight on Netflix, and I was like, wow, you don't even have to pay-per-view anymore. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I just think that that's a good thing. It's becoming more open source. It's becoming more free. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously all these guys, you're absolutely right. They're panicking. So
yep, absolutely.
Great convo, man.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation, Chris. And for all of you that stayed along, hey, we appreciate you. We want to make sure that we're bringing you content that gives you value and entertains you as well. So thanks for tuning in to the Family Office. Be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you comment, and we look forward to interacting and engaging with you. So until the next episode, Chris, it's always nice to see you, sir. Take care.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Family Office.